Hey guys, I'm the C-Man235, and I can't escape these controversial topics, can I? I just have to talk about them. Alright, so, for those who don't know, and I'm going to assume that's none of you at this point, Justice League has recently released its first trailer for the movie. Now, I might make a future video about the DC movieverse and what I have issues with. I'm gonna make a separate video on this because this is like my fourth time recording this, and I keep meandering back into my complaints with the universe, even though I don't want to do that. So I'm just gonna give you my basic thoughts on the trailer and what I thought of it, just for the sake of, talking about the trailer and not going back to what I fucking hate about Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. I would talk about Suicide Squad, but I haven't seen it, and I don't care to see it either. I pretty much shunned every other DC movie after I saw the Rotten Tomatoes score of Suicide Squad, and I got really angry, so I decided, no, fuck it, I'm not seeing this shit. If they're not gonna try it, I'm not gonna see it. The trailer itself was okay. I'll be honest, I didn't really think the trailer was that good. Honestly, it felt like two things to me. One, Sucker Punch. And the more you remind me of Sucker Punch, the less invigorated and excited I am to see the movie. And two, Guardians of the Galaxy, only shit. Or actually, I think better actually would be Suicide Squad. The last couple of trailers, like the last two trailers or one trailer, I don't really know. One of the trailers, the ones where they got rid of the darker tone and started showing more jokes, because that was DC was under the impression that the main problem with the DC universe was that there wasn't enough jokes in it. And honestly, that's the same vibe I'm getting from those last trailers. Like, I haven't seen Suicide Squad, but I will still say the first couple of trailers on Suicide Squad looked really, really awesome. And I was actually excited for the movie because of that. And apparently, I'll talk about Suicide Squad in another video just for one or two other things. But one of the things that the director said is that he had a version of the movie that was really good, or at least better than the final product, but because DC and the people who made the trailers went in and messed with it, it was fucked up beyond belief because of that. Honestly, I agree, because looking at the trailers, you can clearly tell with like the last two trailers and the first like couple of them, which showed that had this dark and gritty tone to it. You can tell that there was something different going on. There was something different about these the trailers and their styles and their tones, the stuff they wanted to do. Honestly, this trailer reminds me of Sucker Punch and Suicide Squad with the last like one or two trailers. It reminds me of that style of humor that they're going with, mainly because of the fact that one of the complaints with Batman v Superman was its overly serious tone. I don't mind a dark and gritty tone for the DC films. I don't think every single DC hero needs it, because I think Flash can still be lighthearted and fun. It is the Flash after all. But even then, the main complaint I had with Batman v Superman and Man of Steel was the fact that the movies themselves, the story was terrible, or non-existent at worst, and the characters themselves were not likable. I'll go into it later because I don't want to start a 50-minute rant, but that was my main problem. DC seems to be under the impression that because there's not enough jokes like Marvel movies have, that's why they're bad. That's not it at all. I don't want you to be like Marvel, DC. I don't need you to be like Marvel, because Marvel and DC are very different companies on how they portray their heroes and what they do with them. Marvel's heroes are much more human. They are, they have flaws, they have dark sides, and oftentimes they are their worst enemy. Whereas with DC, they are much more of the role model, icon, symbol superheroes. Like they are not just heroes, they are icons. Superman is essentially the embodiment of everything good. He is Superman. He will save a cat from a tree, even if he doesn't have to. It takes little to no effort on his part, but he'll do it anyway because that's the kind of guy he is. He will help anyone in need because he's Superman. Regardless, I understand DC and Marvel do things very differently, and I actually respect that. I like that. I like both styles of approach. The reason I don't want them to be like Marvel is because I like DC when it does DC things. I like Marvel when they do Marvel things. And it seems like this trailer is just trying to show that, hey, we can be like Marvel too. I know, like, we kind of fucked up with those early movies because we were trying to have a dark and gritty tone similar to Christopher Nolan, but now we're gonna be like Marvel, guys. Please come see us. Please come see us. We're putting so much fucking money into these movies, and Zack Snyder is, like, literally destroying everything we have. Please just give us something. That honestly seems like what it is. It's a desperate cry for help. I know that sounds like a shitty thing to say, but it really seems like they're getting desperate. I don't think DC really I shouldn't say DC. Warner Brothers. I don't think Warner Brothers knows what they're doing with these characters. And this trailer seems exactly a result of a confused and messy company struggling to find their footing with these goddamn characters. Zack Snyder as well honestly just does not seem... Look, Zack Snyder has talent as a visual storyteller, as a visual director, but when he's allowed to make a story, and when he's allowed to just go nuts, oh, who knows what the fuck can happen. I just don't think Snyder is the right fit for this universe, and considering he's been involved in every movie so far, I don't know if he's being... I think he's a producer... Well, I know he's a producer on Suicide Squad. I think he's a producer on Wonder Woman 2. I'm not sure how much control he has over those movies, though. And even if Wonder Woman turns out to be a good movie, let's say for the sake of Wonder Woman turning out to be good, which I do wish happens, you know, because even though I'm not going to see Wonder Woman unless it gets like a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes or higher, like, if it turns out to be a good movie, I'll be happy, but I'm still going to be skeptical of Justice League, because at the end of the day, Wonder Woman doesn't really look like it's something that Zack Snyder has that much control over. It's just a general part of the universe. Like, I don't know how much control he has as a producer, or as someone who's, you know, just kind of... I think it's just kind of someone who, like, is, like, generally seeing how things are going. But as for, like... Batman v Superman and Justice League, he's directing them. And considering his past two movies he's directed, Man of Steel and Batman v Superman were fucking shit. Yeah, even if Wonder Woman turns out good, I'm still going to be skeptical on Justice League. Granted, I hope Wonder Woman is going to be a good movie. I don't think it's going to be, but that's just me being salty of the previous films, to be fair. But even if it does turn out good, I'm still going to be skeptical, and this trailer did not do anything to help it. As for the trailer itself, like the way it presented itself, it looks very, very CGI-ish, and the CGI doesn't really look finished. To be fair, it's a trailer, and things are likely to change. That generally happens with most movies, so I'm not going to be too critical of that, but at the same time, it did look a bit rushed, just like this movie. But tish. The trailer itself just was kind of... It was so cheesy. It was... And not in that like, 60s Batman cheesy. I mean, like, it really did look... It honestly... The lines were really, really bad. The only line I actually got a chuckle at was, like, Flash saying, hey, what's your superpower? And Batman, like, turns to him and says, I'm rich. Like, that's the only one that actually made me laugh. But to be fair, oh god, and then they started playing that really cheesy Beatles song. Look, the song itself is great, but it did not mesh well. It did not fit, and not to mention all the the jokey Guardians of the Galaxy style of humor with this dark and serious tone, like Suicide Squad. From what I heard from criticisms, I don't know if it's true. I haven't watched the movie, to be fair. But from what I heard, Suicide Squad's darker tones and its Guardians of the Galaxy-like tone clashed often. And considering that didn't turn out well, I'm looking at Batman v not Batman v Superman, Justice League. The Batman v Superman Zack Snyder tone, along with the humor of, say, Guardians, it doesn't mesh. It looks awkward. It melts awkwardly. This movie looks like, once again, it's going to be a mess. Not so much in the storytelling department like Batman v Superman, where there's just so much shit in this movie, but it just looks like they're confused, like they don't know what they're doing. This trailer has showed me that Warner Brothers really doesn't know what to do with these heroes. I mean, I guess some of the scenes that they showed were kind of cool. I guess. I mean, I guess it wasn't awful. It's just, I don't know. To be fair, a bit of my negativity is probably on Batman v Superman and Man of Steel. I'm not going to act like it isn't. Because to be fair, I hated those movies. I hated both of them. But at the same time, even then, I still don't think the trailer would be that good, even if I did like those movies. It looks like they're trying to fix mistakes that weren't really there. What I honestly think needs to be done, first off, Zack Snyder needs to be booted out. I know that's gonna sound shitty, but I really think he just needs to be booted out. Or if not booted out, then maybe he should just be a cinematographer. Because I do think from a visual standpoint, Zack Snyder can be a good director. But when it comes to actually, like, storytelling and directing the scenes and the actors, telling them exactly what to do, I think he's terrible with that. Because he's terrible at having his actors show emotion, and these are some really good actors too. It is a shame, because I think Ben Affleck has proved himself to be a good actor and a very good director. Henry Cavill, I think, can be a good Superman. He wasn't my issue with Superman, even though he really didn't do anything in Batman v Superman. But to be fair, it's more the story's fault, not so much him. I thought for the scenes that he was just allowed to speak, I could see a bit of that. I could see a bit of, yeah, he could be a good Superman, given he was in a better film. They have great actors, but they just don't know what to do with them, and the actors they're confused. They have to put a lot of faith and trust in Zack Snyder, and Zack Snyder I just don't think is a very good director, at least when it comes to movies like this. Visuals and design-wise, I think he's great. Because even if, as much as I hate Batman v Superman, the movies do, and Man of Steel, the movies look good, and the costumes are usually really good too. I really liked the Batman outfit, and I really liked the Wonder Woman design, and I even liked the Superman design as well. But even so, maybe it'll be good. I don't think so. I really don't. I know I'm coming off as really negative, but honestly, these movies have left me so jaded and tired and annoyed and confused. And honestly, I think Warner Brothers is just as confused. Honestly, this movie is really going to make or break the DC cinematic extended universe, whatever the fuck they want to call it. This movie's really going to make or break this universe. If it turns out good, well, I'll be happy. If it doesn't, So yeah, that's my general thoughts.